Good morning, AJ with Garden State Greens. The weather here is supposed to get really hot soon, and my wife and I are actually expecting our second child any day now. So I'm thinking things in the garden are going to get pretty chaotic, and I figure I'll take this update video now while it's still in good condition. Over here we got the corn, sweet corn. So I was learning all about it this year and got a bunch of ears pollinated, although the silks and a lot of them are getting eaten by like earwigs. So I'm trying to find a little workaround there, but hopefully they've pollinated and matured enough to give us some decent corn. And all along the bottom here we got some sweet potato, two sweet potato plants running along the bottom. I got an artichoke. It's just some sticks for making borders and trellises and shredding. This is my sort of my table of lost plants, things that never got planted or things that I randomly found growing. There's some lettuce extraordinarily bolted there in the back, broccoli that never made it, chili pepper. It's actually one of them's got a chili pepper on it. These though are going to go in the garden. These are the pumpkin plants that we recently started growing, so gonna get those ready for the fall. It's July 23rd, 2016. Figured I'd do this in the morning as well, so it's a little calmer, a little quieter. These are some of the patio tomatoes and an eggplant that we have. So the tomatoes have some, I'll get in here, they have some really good sets. They're just not turning red yet, but some really good sets down in here. You can see those bunches of tomatoes. So looking forward to that when they start turning red. I'll hop over here. A couple of sweet potatoes, unintended sweet potatoes. We just wound up getting some extras, and so I planted them in this bin where we used to have the potatoes. This was a strawberry bed, is a strawberry bed, but they're June bearing. So the strawberries are pretty much done, just sort of letting some of them run out, and we got a couple of carrots here. This is two leftover experiments of growing potatoes. The branches are kind of gnarly. They've gotten attacked by a number of bugs, but they are alive and there are potatoes in there, so that's cool. And actually, if we look right back here is the compost setup. I got a couple of different piles of debris. This 3x3 bed, this is actually an old fence post that remained from the old fence that we had, but we got cucumber on both sides and another artichoke. So a water barrel. These are Cana lilies. These are actually here for decades. They've just always grown here. And this is the back entrance to the garden. But before we go in there, we're gonna take a quick stop over here where I've got some watermelon growing. So we got some watermelon coming in over here. They're actually they're being grown vertically, and we actually got a couple that I was able to hand pollinate over here, so they're getting there. So we'll see. I haven't had much luck with watermelons in the past, but while I'm back here we could even squeeze back on this side and you can look inside the garden. There's carrots going along the bottom there. We got beefsteak tomatoes, some French beans, French garden beans, I guess, like string beans. There's an eggplant, two plants in here, and some basil, and some poor marigolds who have now been shaded out by this just massive set of watermelons that grows along the middle here. Alright, so now I'll take you around to the front. Got cucumbers, slicing cucumbers, Boston pickling cucumbers. Can't remember which one's which. Grown on both sides here. So it's a wrought iron, 7 or 8 foot wrought iron trellis that I got, and I actually sort of just branched it off. No pun intended. Pun was absolutely intended. And we have a eggplant, another eggplant, Black Beauty. These tomatoes are just unruly, but they just sort of came up on their own from the ground. After years of gardening in the same spot, you get that. They're black cherry tomatoes. We have another cucumber plant here and an artichoke, some more tomatoes, and I got some more beans down there. These are another 2 cucumber plants. Like I said, I do a lot of this stuff vertically. So like that, and there's a couple of Black Beauty eggplants. And you'll see, you know, I use some, like this used to be a swing. I use everything that I possibly can, and then everything like sticks, you know, when they're no longer good, just take the screws out and we'll go ahead and return them to the compost. We'll chip them into mulch, or you know, we'll just let them decompose. Alright, so this was the bed that we were behind before. In the front here, I've got these awesome eggplants, these meatball hybrid eggplants from Burpee, and there are just, you know, a ton of these guys in here. They're doing really well, and they taste absolutely phenomenal. Now this is the one eggplant on the right here that I didn't cage, and I'm paying for it. This thing is like splitting and spreading all over the place, but we're keeping it together. Along the side here I've got some chili peppers that are just starting to come in, and then you can just see the watermelon along the middle here. Gosh, this thing is everywhere. In fact, it's crossing over to the other bed. And over here we have just some dill and basil, some cherry tomatoes that are growing here, some tomatoes along the back. Sweet potato is pretty much running along the whole thing. I got about 6 sweet potatoes in here. And I'll actually go around to the back and show you some of the tomatoes that are just finally turning. It's like the first of the tomatoes here that are turning. So I got a couple of them in the back here. And then we have cucumbers going up along this whole trellis. And that is pretty much it. I'll back up out of the gate here just to show you guys. I got a couple more tomato plants. You know, a lot of these, like I said, they just pop up in like the compost or along the lawn, and I'll just wind up potting them, so I don't even know what all of them are. But you know, we keep them anyway. Some flowers. These are some astibles. I don't know. They're spring flowering, so they're not in their prime yet. But I've had these for several years. They're really beautiful. And that's it. So that's the garden so far. You know, year after year, we try to make it bigger and better. And like I said, I just wanted to make sure that I got this update out to everybody so you guys can check it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks. This is AJ from Garden State Greens, and I'll put a link for my Facebook and especially Instagram if you guys want to check that out and follow that. Alright guys, thanks for sticking with me. Have a good one.